Hello again. Now for today's recipe from Bloodstained, Ritual of the Night, I'm cooking ginger pork.
Ginger pork. Thinly sliced pork simmered in ginger sauce. Pairs well with rice.
Now today's recipe, I got it off a YouTuber named Cooking with Dog.
Hi, I'm Francis, the host of this show, Cooking with the Dog.
Now Cooking with Dog's recipe is based off of 200 grams of pork loin slices. My local supermarket only sold my pork loin slices in 500 grams. I've got about 400 grams here. Now what I've done with the other 100 grams is because Cooking with Dog's recipe is based off of 200 grams of pork and I have 400 grams of pork here, I'm just going to double the amount of ingredients that I'm using. Some pepper, some plain flour or all-purpose flour. So for the ginger sauce, we're going to need some soy sauce, some cooking sake, which is a lot cheaper than the actual sake, some mirin, some sugar, about a tablespoon of fresh ginger, and about a teaspoon of fresh garlic. Now for the side vegetables, I'm using about 200 grams of cabbage leaves and 4 pieces of fresh okra. Now the first thing you want to do with your okra is cut off this brown edge here. So you want it to look somewhat like this. So what we're going to do next is we're going to get a bit of salt, rub it on. Rub the salt along the body of the okra. Now what this does is it makes the okra not as fiery. So now I'm just going to pour out some boiling hot water. And then I'm going to cook my okra for about 10 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 10. Yeah, cool down okra, cool down, you're too hot. So we want to cut our cabbage leaf into about 3-inch strips or 8 centimeters. Yeah. And then what we do, you put those 3-inch strips on top of each other, and then we'll just finely shred. Slice it back. Alright, so it's time to make our ginger sauce. We'll need about 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, 2 tablespoons of cooking sake, 1, 2, 2 tablespoons of mirin, 1, 2, 1 teaspoon of sugar, and now we're going to add in our ginger and our garlic. Now they're meant to be crushed, and I'm just going to use a garlic press to do the job, eh? And then all we're going to do here is just mix up our sauce really well. So let's move on to preparing the meat. Now, Cooking with Dog's recipe says that I should trim off the excess fat. But to be honest, I kind of like my pork to be a bit fatty, so I'm just going to leave it on. Now what Cooking with Dog recommends is making cuts between the fatty part and the meat. I don't know why you do this. Maybe it's to somehow seal the flavors in. Who knows? Someone in the comments, let me know. Alright, so the next step is to sprinkle some pepper on one side of the pork slices. Now here's my flour, and what I'm going to do is I've got a pastry brush here. I'm going to lightly dust the pork with the flour. You don't want to use too much flour, and the reason is if you do, then the flour is going to absorb all of the sauce and then the pork's going to get too salty. So you just want to have a light dab. See? Just a tiny dab. Tiny dab. Not too much flour. Alright, I think that is good. So we're going to be cooking our pork slices in sesame oil. Now we don't want to overcook our pork slices, so we're just going to use a medium heat. Now the key tip here is not to overlap the slices of pork. Alright, so that's good. Remember, I've still got a bit more meat, so I'm not going to use all of it just yet. Oh yeah, get that sauce all over you. Oh yeah. What you want is that sauce to thicken up quite a bit, but you don't want to evaporate all of that sauce. I'm just going to cut off a bit of this pork here, this tiny bit that's hanging, and give it a taste test. Oh my god. How good does that look? Look at how juicy it is. Now I've got a bit of rice here because the game says that this recipe pairs well with rice. So we'll find out. Look how juicy that is. Oh. Let's take a bite. The meat is tender. It's full of that lovely ginger and soy flavoring. And it's not too salty. It's just right. See, the salad's got a bit of that sauce on there. Surprisingly, okra and cabbage work really well together to balance out this pork. Let's wrap that around. Oh yeah.